I heard one of your earlier reports that Gaddafi might outgun us, but he will not outnumber us, and his forces do not have the determination that we have.
Do you want outside help?
Yes, specific help. A no-fly zone is long overdue, and selective surgical strikes, I think, are called for.
Well, those calls for direct military action are not being met with much enthusiasm over in the United States. We've heard from Senator John Kerry, who says they would actually be counterproductive, and he set out some other options.
One, prepare a no-fly zone in conjunction with our allies, not implement it. Certainly, first hope would be, if it were called on, to be done only in the context of international agreement and sanction. But right now, they don't want that, and I think that's good. The last thing we want to think about is any kind of military intervention, and I don't consider the fly zone stepping over that line. We don't want troops on the ground. They don't want troops on the ground. That would be counterproductive.
Well, much of the military equipment needed to enforce a no-fly zone is actually already in position. It's on the Mediterranean island of Malta. James Bays is there for us.
These aircraft are NATO's eyes and ears. The AWACS is packed with the most sophisticated cameras, surveillance and monitoring equipment. NATO maintains these planes are working as part of a counter-terrorism mission which has been in place since 9/11. But that mandate is a pretty broad one, checking on suspicious aircraft and ships. And in recent days, they've been tracked constantly in the skies near Libya. They've been showing particular interest in this Libyan aircraft, part of Colonel Gaddafi's VIP fleet based at Mytika near Tripoli. The plane, a Falcon 900, which flew from Belarus last week, was this weekend returning from Jordan. This recording was made of the radio communications with air traffic controllers in Malta.
NATO 07, go ahead.
Do you have any information on an aircraft with the squawk 2017 position about 85 miles east of our?
7, that should be a Falcon 900, flight level 340, with a destination Mytika according to FlightNet.
Malta's airport has been hosting planes from at least 7 NATO nations. In the island's main harbour, a South Korean destroyer which has been evacuating workers from Libya. Military vessels from a number of NATO countries are just off the coast. With AWACS spy aircraft overhead and a fleet of Western naval vessels offshore, there is concern here in Malta, an EU nation, but one that prizes itself on its neutrality. A former Prime Minister of Malta told me he doesn't believe Western powers when they say they're only here to evacuate their nationals.
They cannot be trusted because if I were in their place, I would exploit the opportunity I have of the strategic position to spy and to do all that is necessary in preparation of any military attack. So it's not a question of evacuation only. They are exploiting also the circumstances for their own ends.
It's adding to concern here that this island's neutrality is slowly being eroded. James Bays, Al-Jazeera, Malta.
Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus was dismissed from his job at the Bangladeshi bank he founded last week. Called the decision to remove him illegal, now taking that fight to court. We'll have the details on that in a moment. Plus, one of the world's most active volcanoes putting on a spectacular display. That and more to come.
Hello, we've got yet more rain and snow making its way into Japan. Big thick lump of cloud just sliding its way through Honshu now. And coming in behind it will stay very disturbed, certainly across the northern half of Honshu. 8 Celsius there for Osaka and also for Tokyo. Notice that keen northwesterly wind, quite a bit of snowfall right the way up into Hokkaido. To the south it is largely dry, but it really will still cold, bitterly cold there for the Korean Peninsula. 3 Celsius for Pyongyang with that keen wind coming through. We've got temperatures at around 9 Celsius for Beijing. It's largely dry across northern parts of China. Shanghai also dry with a high of around 12 degrees Celsius. It's right down into the southwest where we've got more in the way of cloud. A few spots of rain coming in just around Hainan. Sunshine and showers to come for the Philippines. Manila at around 29 degrees Celsius. Plenty of sunshine to come for India over the next day or two, and I'm pleased to say we will see more in the way of sunshine into Sri Lanka. Colombo, 32 Celsius. Further north, still a few wintry flurries just around the far north of India, but essentially it is brightening up here as well, more in the way of dry weather to come. Stays largely dry across the Arabian Peninsula. This thicker cloud into southern parts of Saudi Arabia, into Oman, is in the process of easing away with temperatures in the high 20s.
What Gaddafi has done, he dismantled or destroyed the system in the country.
As chaos and violence sweep across Libya.
They're living through fear, they're living through a nightmare.
They're using ammunition, live ammunition.
AlJazeera hears from those who have lived in fear of Gaddafi's regime.
We don't want him to leave. We want to arrest him. 42 years is too much.
Libya, a state of terror. At this time on AlJazeera.
So the latest developments from Libya. State television has broadcast an appearance by the leader, Muammar Gaddafi, who addressed crowds of supporters once again in Tripoli's Green Square. His forces have retaken the town of Bin Jawad in the centre of the country, and Reuters news agency is reporting his forces have also been seen pushing east towards Ras Lanuf. Rebels have also renewed their calls for a no-fly zone to ground Gaddafi's air force, some even asking for targeted airstrikes. US Senator John Kerry, though, says direct military intervention would be counterproductive. All this unrest is causing new fears for the global economy, all to do with oil, of course. Go back 3 weeks in the brief lull between Egypt and Libya's uprisings. US crude oil was at $85 a barrel. Now, though, with the attacks on oil depots in Libya, that's up to a price of a 2.5-year high, in fact, of $106 a barrel. Over the same period, Brent crude oil risen from $103 to $117 a barrel, and as a result, the markets are taking a hit. Nikkei in Tokyo down more than 2% on Monday. Australia's benchmark ASX 200 down by 1%. And in Spain, they're taking some measures, actually, because these fears of a shortage in the oil supply due to the unrest in Libya have caused the government to look at innovative measures, in fact. Sonia Gallego has a look at that.
There's a change of pace happening on highways throughout Spain. Across the country, drivers are being encouraged to ease off the pedal, and it's all in aid of conserving energy. The unrest and uprisings experienced in oil-rich Arab countries have meant a surge in the price of petroleum.